I had a blue one.
Okay.
Both had the slant six and them were built forever.
Oh, yeah, them 225 slant sixes are tough.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, my 87 Tempo, which is out front,
Oh, geez, yeah.
I've got 65,000 miles.
Yeah.
on it, so I'm hoping.
About 3,000 miles on it or so this summer so far.
Fun car.
Yeah. Gets pretty good gas mileage for a car like
Oh,
that.
yeah, 318, yeah.
On the highway, I can get about 20 miles a gallon on the highway, but
Pretty good.
just get out of it. Done.
Tanya, so we're not going anymore.
I muted something, but I don't know if other people out there can hear it. I'll check with Kim.
It's just keeping it muted works. Guess that's the way to go.
Well, I don't know if other people can hear them.
But if it puts it so you can hear it online.
Well, we're not supposed to say things from this road anyway.
Then they can't hear it.
She wants to verify that if you muted it and they couldn't hear it online, then that would not be a good situation.
No.
But
Are we good to go or is she still checking?
she's still checking, yeah.
You just want to wait, I want to.
What's that?
I don't want to be tardy.
Oh,
I think I've got a YouTube app.
I think she checked it, right? Kim, I think usually checks or watches it to make sure it's running correctly.
Not yet.
Well, that's what I did when you guys said when we.
Today, we're done.
I was able to pop it
Yep.
on my iPad and it's not.
Yeah, how's that going?
About a 30-second delay. or
I think that's
something.
usually what it is, yeah, or what they say it is for
You know,
the
when
second
we're
delay.
like that, people talking about issues that
No,
are concerning to them, but you know, in general conversation, they don't let people. I've learned so much. It's so much fun. That's good. So we do it today. That's Calhoun. Asked. I see you got a big Calhoun sign. I don't understand that. What? Something. It's how they're buying us.
Okay, we're gonna call to order the Land Use and Information Committee meeting for August 6th, 2024. A notice has been posted in accordance with Wisconsin statute 19.84 open meeting law. Do we have Supervisor Anderson online?
Yep.
Okay. Do I need to do attendance or basically you know who's here?
Usually don't do it.
Okay, all right. Public comments. Do we have any public comments here? Keeping in mind that anything that has to do with any of the public hearing can be reserved for that time. Okay. And then we're down to entertain a motion for approval of the agenda and agenda order.
I'll second.
Okay, so who was the motion? Randy or Supervisor Szymanski with a second from Supervisor Tucker? Okay, and then looking for an motion for the approval of the minutes from the July
We need-
2nd.
you need to, you gotta do
We need
a,
a vote on.
On the motion.
I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing. Thanks, I need a little help. So entertain a motion for approval of the minutes for the July 2nd, 2024 meeting and the July 23rd.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from both of those meetings.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion from Supervisor Blumberg and a second from Supervisor Moyer.
Is it okay for discussion here?
Yep.
All right, in the minutes, it shows that Supervisor Tucker stated he and the town of West Marshland have approved this. I have no approval authority at all in the township to approve the mechanical shop be opened up. So yeah, I didn't state that I approved anything. I don't have that authority, so
Is that in the one from the 2nd or the 23rd?
the second,
Okay. And can we just make a note of that?
yeah. I'd like to, have it amended to say that the town of West Marshland approved it, but I'm not on the town board, so
So you were in support of the idea?
I'm in support of the idea, but I didn't approve anything. Yeah.
Sure.
Anything else? Any other discussion? So just making note of that. A vote on that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, thanks. Public hearing. Jason, can you read?
Yep, notice of public hearing, State of Wisconsin, County of Burnett, Tuesday, August 6, 2024 at 9 AM at the Burnett County Government Center, room 165, Town of Mean, Siren, Wisconsin, regarding the following Burnett County Land Use Shoreline Protection Ordinances. Number 1, conditional use permit CUP 2417 Westfall. Public notice hereby given to all persons in the town of Grantsburg, Burnett County, Wisconsin, that Timothy Westfall has made an application for a conditional use permit for the terms of the Burnett County Land Use Code of Ordinances to operate an agricultural product processing facility and retail store on the parcel with address 22541 Hickerson Road in the A2 zoning district, lot 1, CSM volume 21, page 157. In the northeast quarter, the southwest quarter, section 34, town 38, north, range 19 west. Number 2, map amendment, MAP 2408 Heidemann. To rezone the northwest quarter, the southwest quarter, except CSM volume 24, page 341, section 26, town 40 north, range 14 west. Located in the town of Scott, parcel with address 1715 Old A Road, from RR3 residential recreation to A2 agricultural residential zoning district. Zoning change requested by Robert Heidemann. Number 3, conditional use permit CUP 2418 Erickson Family Investments LLC. Public notice hereby given to all persons in the town of Mean, Burnett County, Wisconsin, that Kenneth Erickson on behalf of Erickson Family Investments LLC has made an application for a conditional use to the terms of the Burnett County Land Use Code of Ordinances to operate a 22 site campground on the parcel with address 7330 State Road 70 in the RRRC zoning district, lot 2, CSM volume 13, page 35, in the southwest quarter, section 33, town 39 north, range 16 west.
Okay, is there a representative here for Westfall? Could you step forward and state your name and tell us about your application?
Timothy Westfall, application, I'm just gonna be doing wholesale, and the retail side is gonna be very small. Traffic wise is gonna be very minimum. I am in the Burnett dairy right now. We're setting up, so we have our license for the Department of Agriculture. I will have an inspector on site when I'm making product. And a little bit of deer processing, but it's not gonna be too much on that either. So. I have 38 years in experience in the meat business.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Westfall? We might call you back up, but
Thank you.
see and so we'll now open the public hearing for conditional use permit CUP 24-17 Westfall. Do we have anyone who wishes to speak to that? If not,
There
we'll
was
close.
nobody online, so.
Okay. Okay, then we'll close the public hearing. Has the committee had a chance to read through, like the staff report and recommendations?
Yeah, there were a couple of staff recommendations.
It appears the sign blocking has been fixed.
Yes, I think so.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah, I emailed Jason on that, yes, everything is done with that, yes. And my understanding when the Department of Agriculture was out, she said I was good to go and that was bad on my part. I removed it right away when I emailed Jason when he sent me an email on it. So, sorry.
Do you, this is Supervisor Anderson. Can you hear me?
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a,
With the staff recommendation.
Yeah, with the staff recommendations.
Which would be follow all sign regulations and follow all local, county, state and federal requirements for this activity.
Yes, thank you, Brett.
okay, so we have a motion from Supervisor Tucker, a second from Supervisor Moyer. To approve with the staff conditions listed.
There's,
Normally that he would do a roll call vote.
Yep.
is this discussion?
And is Chuck on? I'll just go in order.
Is there a
Supervisor
discussion?
Conroy had a planned,
Hello, can you
absence.
hear me?
Chuck Anderson?
Can you hear me?
I can hear him on YouTube.
Hello, can you hear me?
Trying to talk to you.
Hello, I'm unmuted.
Trying to say something.
I'd like to say something if I can get on. Hello? Can you hear me?
Blink 3 times for yes.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? They say I'm muted. Unmute.
You know, we had that old speakerphone system. Could that be used in conjunction with this, or would that not be something that would be?
That's above my pay grade. That's an IT, James Leckel questions.
Sure. Then that could be just strictly for supervisors communicating and
Right.
whatever. So that's for what it's worth department.
So do
I
we,
guess
do
if
we
it
move
was
on and we can
me,
record his
I
vote?
would just go on.
We'll go on.
You have
Can you
5
hear me
in
now?
person, so.
Sounds good. We'll record if he has an objection or any, or.
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Supervisor
Can you
Blumberg,
hear me now?
Yes.
Supervisor Szymanski,
Yes.
Supervisor Moyer,
Yes.
Supervisor Tucker,
Yes.
Supervisor Lockley Anderson, yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay,
It says I'm
so
unmuted.
that will, then we'll move on to the rezone request, MAP 24-8 Heidemann. Is there a representative here for that? And if you could state your name.
Robert Heidemann.
Okay.
And when I applied for this rezoning, I applied for A3 for all my 35 acres. Because I also tap my trees for maple syrup. And since I have to get it rezoned for agriculture, I want to rezone everything so I can do my maple syrup and not have to come back here.
You can do that in A2.
35 acres. I got 35 acres. I want, and eventually I may have some livestock and
Yep. A2 allows all that stuff.
on 35 acres.
Yep.
But it only says on here 10 acres.
But yeah, that's the minimum lot size. If you have more, you can have more than 10.
35 acres. So all 35 acres would be rezoned?
Yep.
then? Okay, I didn't understand.
Yeah,
I
so
got approval from the town of Scott for the 35 acres also. Says on here 10 meeting.
Yep. Yep.
And we have a copy of that letter in the packet.
A3 is not the right zoning district to go to.
All 35 acres. Well, I guess I misunderstood when I read it.
Yeah,
So all 35 acres would be. For 35 acres
Yeah, cause A3 got eliminated, so for one, A3 doesn't exist anymore, so you can't rezone to it. Yep, and so A2 is the district you would wanna go to, cause it allows you to do all your ag practices, animals, maple syruping, everything you wanna do. Yep, that's why I changed it on there to A2, cause A3 doesn't exist. Yep.
So I was just looking at the application.
Yep.
So once he's on A2, then he doesn't need to.
No, you can have your animals and you can do your maple syruping and all good. Yep. Everything you want. That's why I changed it on there to A2, cause A3 doesn't exist.
I was just looking at the application.
All right, so, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone online or in person that wants to speak to the rezone request for 24-8 Heidemann?
Nobody online.
Okay, then we'll close the public hearing. And this,
There was a letter in there in the packet from the township that they signed approving it to A3, but A2 and A3 were almost the same.
so if you're looking at your device, it's, I think, what, page 36 of 94. If you wanna
5
see-
words
see
you
the
pronounce wrong
correspondence.
2 years before your
Yeah.
brain starts shutting down. Dementia
So then
is
we
now
would just
known
be
as type
looking
3
for a
diabetes.
Motion to bring this forward to the full board for approval for rezone to A2.
Sure, I'll make a motion. to,
Page
do
36 of
such to
94.
be-
5 words
approval to this and
you
that we
pronounce
are sending
wrong
it on
2
to the
years
township.
before your brain starts shutting
And,
down.
I guess we can also include as part of this motion, that one item, the typical follow all local, county, state and federal requirements for this activity. If you think that should be included.
Okay, so we have a motion from Supervisor Blomberg.
I'll second it.
Now we have a second from who? Supervisor Moyer. Everybody seconded it. Any discussion, questions? If not, we need a roll call on that one, or is that just all in favor?
I think.
He does roll call on everything?
Roll call on every
Okay,
public hearing.
And do we have Supervisor Anderson able to communicate yet? Okay, so we'll
Can you hear me now?
move on to Supervisor Blomberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Szymanski,
Yes.
Supervisor Moyer,
Yes.
Supervisor Tucker,
Yes.
and then Supervisor Lacqua Anderson, yes. And so that will go to
Yep,
county.
so that'll go to the full county board in a couple weeks. You don't have to be at that county board meeting. I'll be there to process it. 99.9% sure they'll approve it, so.
Supervisor Moyer.
Yes.
Supervisor Tucker.
Yes.
And then Supervisor Lacqua Anderson, yes.
I'm sorry, I'm hard to hear.
Okay, yep, it's gonna go to county board for approval in a few weeks. You don't have to go to that meeting. I'll take care of it for you, so. Yep, and you don't have to stay after your public hearing unless you want to. I'm not kicking you out, but if you don't wanna hang out, you can leave, so.
Yeah, you're always welcome to
Okay,
stay.
yeah, it's gonna go to county board for approval in a few weeks. You don't have.
Yeah.
Take care.
Are you gonna be sending them?
And you don't have to stay after your public hearing unless you want to.
With your new
I'm
endeavor.
kicking you out, but-
Okay, moving
If
right
you don't
along
wanna
to
hang out,
conditional
you can
use
leave.
permits, CUP 2418 Erickson Family Investments LLC. 22-unit campground in an RRRC district. Do we have a representative here?
I'm Maria Erickson with Erickson Family Investments.
Maps, if you guys, think you guys on my screen, they might be able to see on here.
So we own 8 acres where the roundabout bar and grill is. And we'd like to add 22 sites to the back wooded area of that property.
Hello?
Maps, if you guys, think you guys on my screen, they might
Obtained
be able to see
approval
on
from
here.
the town of Canadian. So we own 8 acres where the roundabout bar and grill is. And we'd like to add 22 sites. I mean, it's pretty cut and dried. We're looking to put a seasonal only campground in. It wouldn't be weekend or overnight or monthly. From the town of Canadian. So we own acres.
And I guess I just have one question for clarification. You know, we have the map here. I'm assuming this, or I'm not necessarily a permanent. it would
Right, so
need to
we're
be,
looking to put
you
a
know,
seasonal
still-
only campground
you know,
in.
if this is approved, there's like final approval of some plans for.
Well, so how it works is we get an as-built essentially done
Okay.
within like 3 years after everything's sewer, water, all that stuff is put in. They do essentially an as-built map of the campground so we can see where everything is.
Okay, the one comment I'd have, and
There's like.
maybe you'd be able to speak to that, is there's a dead end and there doesn't really appear to be like a turnaround for emergency vehicles. I think it's what, usually 60 feet that's recommended.
Yeah, I was looking at the ordinance, it says 35-foot radius, so you might wanna adjust that map to put like a little cul-de-sac down there on that dead end.
That is,
Mark. Yeah,
there's a
but
dead
that
end.
should be fine. I don't see an issue with.
We did have that one drawn too or whatever,
Oh,
so.
okay.
We
It kind of
did,
shows that road being 40 feet wide though, in the map here.
yeah.
Yeah, it says 35-foot radius though, so that would
That's 70
technically
feet.
mean 70.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we have the availability to do a bubble on the end of it. The owner didn't really want to do a bubble on the end, but if we need to do one, we have the room to do it, so.
Okay.
So we did have that laid out.
I just want to note too, in the staff report, it said that the violation was that we didn't have a lock on the septic tank, and we have corrected that. And there was something else, a buffer, that there isn't much vegetation around there. We don't plan on taking down any trees unless it impedes like where we are putting a camper in at. We don't plan on removing trees that are existing there right now.
If you want to look on the aerial photo, that's kind of shows things pretty well. The west side is the state land. And that's all their drainage from what was the goose ponds at the roundabout. So they bought that land for the drainage area for the road runoff there, basically. So that's what that was acquired for. And you can even see where their ditches and so forth go in there. You can see that on the photos. As far as the buffer goes, it's well buffered on the state side, and on the north side. The south side is highway right away, and that's where the power lines go over there. So everything's been clear cut there. So that's what, and then on the east side is Pope Burnett Electric. And they've cut everything, cleared everything on that side. In fact, they went over the line a ways. But they do have a chain link fence along there, so there is a good barricade between the power company and where the future campground is too. There is a chain link fence there.
This work now?
And then there's a question about potential
I would
stormwater runoff areas. And so in the purple here, I've got those showing on where the lower areas are.
Welcome
that
to
we
Zoom.
put the-
Enter your meeting ID
With the,
followed by pound.
Sorry.
Where we can put the ponding areas for any of the stormwater.
You have not
runoff.
entered any numbers. Please re-enter your meeting ID
Just, yeah,
followed
but
by
the
pound.
septics can go in those areas that are the high spots that are opposite those, because the high spots are in the middle here, here, and here. So that's more likely where the septic systems would be on, and there's been some preliminary testing done already.
Enter your participant ID.
So Mark, those are in the plan, those stormwater drains.
Yes,
Okay.
but they'll be required as part of the,
Yeah.
If we disturb more than an acre.
Please enter the meeting password
We don't plan
followed
on
by
having,
pound.
we made that, lay down some gravel on that road, but we aren't planning on putting pads down
You
the
have
gravel
not-
where the campers are going.
which is gonna be sand.
You are in
It's
the
easily
meeting now.
drivable out there right now.
And the runoff areas would be
There are
would be provided
7
for
participants
if and as
in the
needed,
meeting.
so.
This meeting is being
There's
recorded.
grass out there too.
This meeting's
I'm gonna
host
pause
has
for
enabled
just a
Zoom
moment.
AI companion technology. You are muted. You can mute or unmute yourself by pressing star 6. You are unmuted.
Jason, did we get anything from the county? Approval or anything?
There's a letter.
Getting the loop back for somebody, I don't know who it is.
Yeah, there was I wasn't gonna talk to get duplicated.
I just don't want to go too far because then we'll have to get Supervisor Anderson caught up. But if you want to
Let me
look,
know when you're ready.
if you want to look at page
Yeah, there was an email we got from
58 and 59 is the communication
Tony Neenan.
from
Oh,
DOT and
so
from.
getting a loop back through the audio
And also on the side of the map, you can look at the numbers that are there.
Section or any
They have
or
Can you hear me now?
We have our basic 80 by 80s.
Supervisor
There's a 50-foot buffer
Lumber.
area around there, and that
Yes.
accounts for 2
Supervisor
acres. of that
Szymanski.
8 acres,
Yes.
the total 8
Supervisor
acres.
Moyer.
Yes.
So
Supervisor
the
Tucker.
campsite area is only 4.37,
Supervisor
so
Luckman
that's
Anderson,
how
yes.
come we went down to the 22.
Hello, can you hear me?
Sites was because
Okay,
requirement is 5
Guys, I'm
per,
so
unmuted.
that
is
will,
the maximum of the
I'll
usable
go on
area.
to
That's-
the
that's
rezone
usable area.
request,
There's 8 acres total, so.
MAP 24-8
With
height of
8
it.
acres, you'd have 40 sites, but
Is
because
there a
of the-
representative
with
here for
usable
that?
area, you get small sites like this, there's a lot of buffer and a lot of other things that are percentages of that.
State your name.
Robert Heidemann. And, when I applied for this rezoning, I applied for A3 for all my 35 acres. Because I also tap my trees.
But if I
Sure.
unmute all of them. they still
And
would
since I have to get it rezoned for agriculture, I wanna rezone everything. So I can do my maple syrup and not have to come back here.
Is a Zoom meeting that you
Do
have
that.
online there, the same phone number that you have dialed in on here, or is this a separate service?
35 acres.
This is kind of a separate service, but still tied in.
I'd probably mute the microphone on your cameras in here.
That's what we already did.
Okay.
That's why we can't.
Get that-
And then you get the feedback.
Yeah, and maybe you wanna mute the sound on, that's coming from the actual video and just use the sound on the phone. Because you want your transmit and your receive to be on the phone and just use that for video. Otherwise, you're gonna get all that banging around.
Actually go to YouTube. That might.
That's what I do. I know.
Right there.
Because the phone would be real time as opposed to the.
Well, the video might be off some, but you want your audio on the same device. Transmit, receive, not kind of mixed. So,
I've done this before, right?
Yeah.
That's why the Board of Adjustment just goes to or in-person required only.
yeah.
They got fed up with dealing with this everyone.
Just use the speakerphone for supervisors calling in,
So
and
then-
just have voice only or something. Get back to basics.
Um, Go back to Zoom and then.
You have that important business to bring to the land use committee, you should be able to come.
Yep.
Maria's here, I mean.
During COVID, you know, when we were trying to keep everybody out of the building, it made sense, but now that we're back to normal, you know.
I agree with you, Jason. You bet.
See if Chuck's on.
It is nice though, yeah, for the supervisors to call in if you can't make it here, but.
Speakerphones like that are wonderful. I mean, they work really, really well, but when you're trying to use them with another technology, they're cumbersome. Standalone's way better.
Hey Chuck, can you unmute?
How about now?
Okay,
Yay.
Now we got you.
Welcome, Chuck.
all right.
Hey, Chuck.
Hello, good morning.
So that fixed it. So you're getting a loop back through YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's stable now?
That could be that one. This
Just
just.
vote on
Yeah.
How many minutes on that one, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think we're good.
looks like it's good.
Thank you.
Supervisor Anderson, just to get you back up to speed, I don't know if you were able to hear the discussion that was happening while we were playing with the phone and Zoom. But some of the things that were discussed is the possibility of adding enough radius turnaround for the campground for emergency vehicles. There was discussion about the drainage ponds, per the DOT, they're not able to count the DOT duck ponds, as you say, or goose ponds, for their drainage. Was there anything else you need to get caught up on, or did you hear pretty much the rest of the conversation?
I've been
Supervisor?
hearing it all, but I've been trying to unmute, but I've been hearing in most of it.
Okay, do you have anything to add at this point?
Did, on the first one, I missed it. Is he going to have an inspector on that food?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That was my only question that I missed on it, because I know that like Square One Pizza and all that, they gotta have a inspector there a lot.
Yeah, he got all the permits from the states and got the okay from the state, and that was the confusion as to why he thought he could go ahead. So, all
Okay, thank you.
right. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay, I guess we're kind of unpausing our discussion here, asking questions. We were up to talking about the drainage. I kind of missed part of that. You know, you had some purple areas highlighted, and this might actually be a question for Jason. I mean, how does that work? I mean, I would assume drainage plans have to be approved by somebody.
Once they disturb more than 1 acre, they would need a stormwater plan from the DNR. And then
Okay.
that's when it would kick in the requirement of likely having stormwater ponds and those type of things.
So just, you know, in a condition, if it's added, follow all
Well,
state,
yes,
whatever.
when you
then-
have the follow all county, state, federal requirements, it would cover that.
Okay.
If it kicked in.
And then
Good.
keep in mind the lots that we have shown there aren't specific lots just for the campers will be sitting in those approximate sites, basically. We did that more for spacing and size, showing, you know, there'd be a camper in each one of those areas. They're not gonna be a boundaries around each camper, campsite or whatever, and the same thing with the turnaround area. There'll be ample room to turn around at the end there or whatever too, so we'll find enough
You know-
car surface area to make the turnaround.
When,
Okay, so
I have a question.
go ahead, Supervisor Anderson.
Are they going to have, some sort of a storm building, in case of bad weather or anything? Is that required?
It's not required. We don't have anything in our ordinance that requires that.
There is a building basically on premise with the restaurant and bar there too, so there is a existing building right there right now, so.
What's that bathroom building? How's that built?
That's pretty old, I think, the bathroom building.
Yeah.
I don't,
Honestly, I've never been in it.
it has like trees growing around it, and things,
Not
so it's
something
probably,
Not something the building new or.
no.
No, I
probably
think he
would
was
be.
just referencing where it was. on the-
Okay, gotcha.
It just shows existing what's there right now.
Okay.
The letter from the town says they recommend moving the storage unit onto commercial property.
Nope.
Know what that,
They're talking, they sent an email covering 2 items.
so that was the,
That's that storage unit in Mason one next to
Okay.
the other campground. Yeah,
and what about the driveway on Kruger?
that's again referencing that other one.
Okay,
Yes,
cause that makes no sense. for me.
yes, correct.
Okay,
Any other further questions for the applicant? If not, you can sit down. We might
Thank you.
holler out some more questions to you. And, is there anyone online for public hearing? Oh, okay, well, I now open the public hearing and, if there's nobody here or online, I'll close the public hearing. I guess we'd be looking for a motion of some sorts for this one.
can we discuss first,
I think we can a little bit. I mean,
or do we motion first?
generally a
Motion
motion and
first.
second first.
All right, motion first.
Okay, and your motion is?
No, I'm not, I don't wanna make a motion.
Oh, okay.
I wanna discuss.
I'll make the motion to approve the conditional use permit, provided they follow all of our state and federal laws.
So that would include those 9 staff recommendations?
Yeah, we didn't have any
want-
questions regarding those.
You want me to read them real quick? So
Yeah,
they're on the
I'd like that.
record.
Go ahead, read those.
If the committee wants to require additional screening, then they need to be specific with the type, height, width, location, et cetera. You haven't done that yet. Or haven't said anything to that. The complete campground map needs to be completed for the entire campground, all 22 sites, and filed with the zoning office, signed by licensed architect, engineer, or surveyor, which shows the campground layout, location of all sites, roads, property lines, setbacks, structures, water supplies, private waste disposal systems, recreation areas, and any other information land use and information committee shall deem necessary by 5/1/2028. Any proposed changes in the campground, approved campground shall be presented to the zoning office for approval. No implementation of proposed changes shall take place until written approval is received from the zoning office. This is listed in the ordinance as a requirement, and the same condition was required of all other campgrounds. Number 3, land use permits to be obtained for all campground structures prior to placement construction. This includes all sheds, decks, patios, porches, et cetera, as required in campgrounds. Number 4, all camping units shall be connected properly to the on-site POUT sanitary system. No recreational vehicle transfer tanks shall be used. Number 5, camping units shall meet Wisconsin camping unit requirements. Number 6, follow all sign regulations. Number 7, lock and chain on all septic tanks. Number 8, must provide a copy of the state campground permit to the county within 90 days of receipt. Number 9, follow all local, county, state, and federal requirements for this activity.
Covered in there in the last.
So we have a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, and now we can discuss.
My concern is, a year ago, we had another campground that applied for basically the same number of units, very similar. And the town of Menon was strongly anti-campground, and they denied the rezoning request. And now they're pro-campground and approved this zoning request.
I'm not recalling the specific one.
It's what was Walzing at Whitetail. They wanted a small section rezoned to RRRC that had approximately 20 sites on it. And the town of Menon said, no, they had all kinds of letters from all kinds of people saying, we don't want any more campgrounds. They referred back to their comp plan about, we don't want any campgrounds, it doesn't fit in with the comp plan. I don't understand how this one fits and that one doesn't.
Was it for a particular zone? And that's what I can discuss, right, as the chair. Acting chair. Well, I get that. If I'm recalling and I could
Probably
be-
discuss too many specifics about a certain project. I mean, but you can do some basic discussion of it.
if I'm recalling and I could be wrong, I thought they were referring to like a specific area, you know, like something was like on in their comprehensive plan, if something is, you know, more commercial or closer to commercial area. I mean, I thought that would, but I could be recalling that wrong, but I do recall that discussion happening where the comprehensive plan, but I can't remember if that was Menon or Oakland because there was some division. But my recollection is that there was something to do with the maps and not wanting increased commercial activity in a non-commercial, what they considered a non-commercial area.
Is this commercial?
Well,
It got
it's,
rezoned to RRRC
it was,
because it was approved by the town of Menon.
but it was commercial before that. So that is slightly different than the one, the Whitetail one was zoned A2, ag residential
Right.
prior, or is still zoned that way.
But-
This site was,
It's campground for.
But keeping in mind, I could be wrong on this, I think we're supposed to look at each case individually and not necessarily refer too much back to,
Well,
I mean, each conditional use is kind of considered
Yep.
on its own merits.
I mean, you can question what the town did, but ultimately it was their decision.
Yep.
Why?
That's why I said it.
Right.
No.
I think it's very interesting.
I
Supervisor
believe-
Tucker?
I believe the question with the Oakland Township one and the Whitetail Wilderness one was a question of zoning more than anything else, and it was more of an expansion than a new facility.
Thank you, Supervisor Tucker.
Yeah, you know, I don't know when this last issue was that, you know, Randy brought up there, but you know, that's why we have elections every 2 years. Sometimes when it comes down to it, you know, the public wants something different. And in the case of this one, I mean, we're right next to Polk Electric. We've got a wonderful buffer zone to the north and there's state land to the left or to the east, to the west of it. I think this is a really great fit. I mean, it fits right into tourism in the county. I mean, it's a great addition. So I'm fully in support of it. And as far as point number one about requiring additional screening, I think it's kind of built in already with what's here. So I'm not in favor of any additional screening, but that's all I know.
And just as a point of discussion, I don't know that I'd be in favor of requiring additional screening, but just because I think it would look nice, it's like, I would hope, you know, maybe someone would consider just, you know, some low shrubbery or, I mean, just nothing that requires a lot of maintenance and it would interfere with the power lines, but that's just a comment, neither here nor
No, and
there.
I'm sure that one on the end would prefer it too.
A little bit of something
Yeah,
there.
is it 16 or I don't remember what.
I mean, if you also look at our comp plan, and you look at the survey we did, a vast majority of the comments we got back on that survey were about no more campgrounds.
So I've got two printouts here from the Preserve Burnett County website. And this is, I don't know if it's right on their homepage, but this highlighted part says campgrounds in existing or new commercial areas would provide a needed boost to the local economy, revitalizing villages and giving campers an opportunity to sample the many benefits of small town living. Now that makes sense. And then there's two comments on this other page, also on the Preserve Burnett County website, from business owners, and it says, sure, more campers would be great, but it's better to put the campground close to where our businesses already are, then they'll come. And there is that would give a huge boost, I think, to the existing bar and restaurant that's there. Township supervisors, another quote, it says, residents want new high-density development near the existing commercial areas, supporting the smart growth areas strategy.
There's nothing better than, the public electing their representatives for the districts every 2 years. I mean, we have a record that way. If I vote for something they don't like, they won't have me back. So I mean, if I vote for approving a campground, they can hold me accountable. So I mean, I think that is the best survey we can have.
And
We own and operate, and this is our third season operating another campground in the county too. So we are familiar with the staff recommendations and the rules and things that we need to adhere to.
And I guess maybe a question I have for Jason is, I mean, does this seem to be in alignment with the comp plan for? I mean, I suppose it would be for,
Yeah, I mean, I have in the staff report, I have the wording from their new comp plan. It says to represent commercial land use, anticipate limited future commercial areas, accommodate comparable low intensity, low impact commercial use in areas that support such activities, low intensity and low impact commercial development. I personally think campgrounds are pretty low intensity. I mean, it's not a year-round activity. But comp plans are kind of worded a little bit gray, so you can kind of interpret things a little bit, because a comp plan, again, is not an ordinance. It's not a law, it's a guiding document.
And also that the reason it took so long to get this brought before you too is that Eden just adopted their new land use planning commission too. And we were basically the first ones through there. It took 2 or 3 months to get through their process and get their applications and everything else going. And so they do have a new 5-person comprehensive planning group that reviewed this before we came before there, and that's what they recommended, their recommendation to the town board, and the town board forwarded to you guys. We were at a couple of their meetings, so that's why it took the last 4 or 5 months to get that through approved through their process, because it was the first one and they were pretty green at it, but.
and so we have a motion and a second on the table. The other discussion we did have, that did not become a part of a motion was, being specific on the adequate turnaround for safety.
I like the other plan with the turnarounds in it that he has. Cause it has, the turnaround on the end, and then on the, probably the south or the northwest corner. He's got it.
Yeah, he showed it to us.
You guys can pass that around if you want to.
And so I believe that would have to be an amendment. To the
Yeah,
motion.
so I would say you could make that as another condition to revise the layout to include.
This is concept number 3.
Number 3.
Based on having adequate turnarounds for emergency vehicles to cover your.
Yep.
We weren't thinking about the emergency vehicles when we told them to change it. We were thinking about people just driving in there and. We thought if we made it less easy for them to do that, then.
Right.
But
They'll be nosy no matter what turnaround you have, so, So you could make that condition if you wanted to number, that'd be 10. 10 would be, adjust the layout to be similar to concept plan 3.
Allowing adequate.
Yep,
Turnaround
allowing
space for
adequate turnaround space for.
So are you making the motion to
Well, that's,
amend?
so,
I'm not making the motion. You
No,
guys figure it
talking
out.
with our chairperson.
okay, I will make an emotion to amend to add condition 10. So that's the motion.
Second.
Second, okay, so we have a motion and a second, and so well, let's vote on the amendment first. So Supervisor Anderson,
Yes,
or can I just do a all in favor? Supervisor Blomberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Szymanski,
Yes.
Supervisor Moyer,
Yes.
Supervisor Tucker.
Yes.
Supervisor Lockwood Anderson, yes. Okay, so the motion that's now on the table that we need to vote on includes condition number 10. Am I doing that right?
Yes.
Okay, so roll call vote for that. Supervisor Anderson,
yes,
Supervisor Blomberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Szymanski,
Yes.
Supervisor Moyer.
Yes.
Supervisor Tucker,
Yes.
Supervisor Lockwood Anderson, yes. And
Approved.
that's approved.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, thank you. I have one question though, and maybe for Jason. Since there's going to be 2 businesses there, are we allowed to put a small sign up for the campground? I mean, within the ordinance?
Well, yeah, I gotta look at how much frontage you have, cause if you're over 800 feet of frontage, then you're allowed a second sign in a commercial district, so I'll have to look. Otherwise, you could have to potentially modify the sign that's up there and change the face of it. So we'll have to look at how much frontage you have.
It's about 600 feet.
Yeah, you're gonna have to modify the sign that's up.
Jason, on that, being that they're on a state road, does the DOT come in and into play on the signage there?
DOT does not regulate on-premise signage.
Okay,
Yep.
The footage right now allowed for on-premise sign.
80 square feet. I don't know what you have.
We don't need a big advertising sign, we just like.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to next item, resolution, adoption of the 2024 to 2044 Burnett County Comprehensive Plan. And it looks like, so basically this is just a resolution to send to the full board, and there were some notations from the meeting on July 23rd that were added in your packet. Any thoughts, discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to bring that forward to the board for full approval.
Can I just make just a quick notation here?
Okay.
I thought it that it lacked one word. If you go down to line 29, start out there. Now therefore be it resolved that the Burnett County Land Use and Information Committee hereby recommends the adoption, add the word of, the, and then so on. So I asked the clerk to fix that typo, and so that has been fixed, and so that would be corrected version that you have there, I believe.
Yep. So that's what we'll be signing.
I'll make a motion to move forward.
Okay, we have a motion from Supervisor Szymanski.
I'll second.
A second from Supervisor Anderson. All in favor?
Can we have discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry. Discussion. Yes.
I just want to thank the committee for allowing for amendments to be made to that. I'm happy with the wording that's in there regarding what I spoke about at our review of the comp plan. So just wanted to mention, I appreciate that, so.
Okay. So all in favor?
Should we do a roll call or?
Maybe. Okay.
It doesn't hurt.
Then we know where everyone stands. Supervisor Anderson,
Yes,
Supervisor Blumberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Szymanski,
Yes.
Supervisor Moyer,
Yes.
Supervisor Tucker,
Yes.
Supervisor Laqua Anderson, yes. And that will, and we'll sign this, make sure everyone signs that before we go. And that'll go forward to the full board. Now we have a request to fill the Office of Zoning and Specialist position. Jason, can you tell us about
Yep,
that?
so this was Ann Lane's position. She retired a couple months ago. We wanted it cause she was initially in the Land and Water Conservation Department, and when they got merged together, we kind of moved some duties around. We wanted it to sit vacant for a few months to see, that's when you really find out what you can or cannot do if you leave something sit for a while. So we kind of see where our needs are, and we adjusted that job description a little bit to cover some more of the zoning end of things, cause that's where we're swamped on everything. So yeah, basically that's what it is a request to refill that position. It's not a new position. You know, it's not adding another position to our payroll or anything, so.
And what did you discover? I'm assuming you discovered that you obviously need to fill it.
Yes, like right now Tammy's on vacation this week, and it's like our office is a disaster right now, cause we have Ann, his position's vacant, Tammy's on vacation. We have another one in Land and Water who just put in his notice, so he's leaving, so out of like 9 people, we're down 3. So, yeah, it's things, you know, phone calls aren't getting answered as quick as we would like, emails aren't getting answered as quick as we would like. So yeah, all that customer service and stuff fortunately doesn't happen as quick.
Would you like a motion to refill that position?
Yes, I'd take that as a motion. So we have,
So offer that motion.
okay, we have a motion from Supervisor Blumberg,
I'll second
and
it.
a second from Supervisor Moyer. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. All right, looks like we're down to 2025 Land Services Property Information and Zoning Division budget requests.
Yes, so you have the budget request in there. I don't usually go through it line item by line item, but I'll just kind of hit the highlights here. We don't budget for our grants every year. So you'll see the first 3 line items. Because we never know what those are gonna be. They're variable. The only one we know we get every year is $1,000 training grant for staff training. But the other ones, you can see the strategic initiative one in 2023, it was $70,000. This year it's $10,000. So we don't budget for that because it's just so variable. The other one is a little bit more consistent. That essentially, how that works is that offsets staff salaries. So at the end of the year, we take that money and offset our costs. Revenue line item in there, I budgeted 300,000. You'll see, you know, I probably could have had that a little bit higher, but again, it's nice to have a little cushion. Don't know if there's gonna be a recession. You know, elections coming up too. People might get nervous about building, different things happen, so. Next is salaries, permanent regular. You will see that that went up, but again, that's from moving that Ann's position from what used to be the land and water budget to my budget essentially.
We do have Nate on if you have any questions.
Oh, okay, and Nate's on, I guess, if you have any questions with him about that. Let's see, what other line items do we have? So again, the social security, that's going up from moving that position over to our department. Other line items, reimbursement to other surveyors, that's where we contract with Barron County to do our field work. That was a staff position we had up until 5 or 6 years ago. We eliminated, or that person resigned, moved on to a different county, so we eliminated that position. But then we still have to contract with them to do field work. Let's see, what other line items do we have in here? Property cleanup fund, that's the standard amount, 25,000 that we put in there.
Do you know what, how much we have in that fund approximately?
I do not know. It's a carryover.
It's been drawn down a bit, hasn't it?
Well, no, because the only cleanup we've done out of that account so far, the county didn't lose any money on that one.
Oh.
Because with all the scrap value on that one we cleaned up, the person actually got a check from us.
Okay, great.
So that one, we haven't spent any money out of that account yet. But I'm sure we will sometime if we have one that's the one we cleaned up had a lot of scrap value. If we get one where it's a lot of garbage, then you're spending all your money to haul stuff to the dump essentially. Let's see here, what else? That one. Address assignment supplies, you might see that account has gone up a little bit. That one is because now we buy our address signs from Badger State Industries, which is the prisoners making them. And the prisoners, they will only send an invoice out to one entity. So what they do is we order the signs, they invoice the county, so we have to pay for them up front, and then we get reimbursed from the township. Whereas before, we used to order from Lang Enterprises and they would bill the townships directly. So that's why now you see that account number's gone up, because we essentially have to pre-buy the stuff. And then, but we get reimbursed for it, so. Let's see, what other line items? Yeah, the rest are just your, normal office supplies. We gotta get a couple computers next year, so that's the only capital equipment we have. Yeah, so nothing really too shocking in there. I do have the capital equipment future, looking out 5 years projections. A lot of it again is just computers. Obviously, you're not approving stuff that's being budgeted for in 26, 27, 28, 29 yet, but they like to see what we got coming up. It's mostly just computers and a vehicle in 2028. Then I have the grant report in there as well. You'll see what grants we have, or those are the ones I kind of talked about that we don't budget for because we never know what we're gonna get. Then, yeah. And I have a report in there of the modernization account, the last page, that's an account from the registered deeds recordings. That basically pays for LiDAR, aerial imagery, those type of things, so.
And when is our next LiDAR coming up?
LiDAR, the contours?
No, not the LiDAR.
Okay, the aerials
They
this coming spring, so hide all your junk. Before Big Brother takes a picture of it in the end of April, beginning of May. But yeah, that'll be in 2025.
And LiDAR could be in another 10 or 15 years.
LiDAR, we had that flown in 2022. We still don't have the deliverables yet. Because it was a federal project and that has a lot of red tape. Supposed to have those deliverables this fall. I think LiDAR, they want the recommended 10-year rotation, so we wouldn't probably be on the dock till like 2032, probably for that update.
Okay, do we have any further questions for Jason or for Nate?
Chairwoman Locke Anderson, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to make one comment so you folks are aware on the personnel side of things. There's been some discussion and conversation about what has been currently added into that. And if you go back to the guidelines that were approved at the county board, we did fulfill those guidelines. And so that's currently part of the personnel figures that you are seeing and reviewing today. The one that I wanted you folks to be aware of is on our health insurance. Our health insurance, we had a budget guideline of 5%. Unfortunately, our claims are running quite a bit more hot than our premiums we received from staff, as well as what we as a county pay. And so we're right now facing somewhere between about a 14 and 18% increase on health insurance as we head into 2025. And so we're going to continue to review that. We've got another meeting with our health insurance team coming up here in the next couple of weeks. And if we need to look at some modifications to our plan, we would bring together our insurance committee and discuss that amongst staff so that we're all aware of what that means for each one of us who accepts and takes the county's health insurance. But I just wanted you folks to be aware of that.
Thank you. Ouch. So is this one that we just ask for approval to bring it forward to the board?
Yep.
So if anyone has a motion for that.
So move.
Okay, Supervisor Blomberg has a motion to
Essentially recommend
recommend.
forwarding.
recommend forwarding this to the full board.
request.
Yeah, budget request to the full board.
Second,
Second from Supervisor Szymanski. Any discussion?
Would it be going to the full board or would it be going to the administration?
I think it goes to admin committee and then the administration department, and then after it gets through all
Yeah,
those, then it goes to county board in for what, October or November approval, I think.
To the appropriate.
Yeah, so it starts going through its chains now.
We'll forward it
Yeah.
on to the appropriate entity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Right, carried. Land Services Property Information and Zoning Division reports.
So. So, the monthly reports are in there, staff reports are in there saying what they've been working on, essentially budget report is in there as well. You'll see, there's really nothing out of line, revenue, we're at, what, 75% so far, quite a bit higher than the prior year to date. If you see that on there. Otherwise, every line item is essentially where it needs to be, or nothing really outside of normal. You will see, I guess I should look at account number 50291, you'll see the other contractual services, there's a $19,034. That is covered by a grant that we got, so that's for that's for the next gen 911. There's Geocom is the consultant that is essentially getting our GIS data ready to go into that format and system for next gen 911. So that's what they're doing with that.
Jason, regarding that next gen 911, do you have a deadline to have that submitted? I mean, that information, then I'm kind of get an idea for when that's actually gonna get implemented. I get asked that quite a lot.
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a lot of moving parts with that. I know we plan on having all of our data ready, I think, within the next month. All of our GIS data. I don't know what the sheriff's department, what they have to do on their end as far as software, hardware, all that, or and what their schedule is, I guess. I haven't heard anything from them of saying, hey, hurry up, we're needing this from you, what's going on? So I'm thinking we're good on our end of things.
from the public safety meeting last week, all they said was that they're waiting for hard dates on when everything's supposed to be delivered. So they still haven't gotten that from the vendors. the way I
Oh,
understand it. They're ready.
Sounds good, cool. Let's see, yeah, other than that, yeah, there's really nothing else.
Things don't appear to be slowing down.
No,
Okay.
no, surprisingly, yeah, I don't, we've kind of been wondering with the high interest rates and all that stuff, but stuff still seems to be going. Yeah.
Right, if no one has further questions, we'll move on to agenda item 11, County Board Committee Clothing, Attire, Conversation, and Possible Action. I think what we're doing today is just kind of thoughts, discussion, get a feel for, you know, this is in your packet. Hopefully most of you had a chance to read it. Looks like page 93, 94. And yeah, I think just getting a feel for if people have comments on it or feelings about it.
I don't know if have you had another one of these discussions in a different? committee?
I have not. I know there have been one or two and I have not heard the other discussion.
So last week we had a public safety committee meeting and Chairman Taylor is on that committee. And basically what he said is they're looking for committees to see if they have any comments on attire. And then the committee chair will bring those, up to I guess it would be the admin committee from there and then bring it back to the whole board to see if we should implement something or not. There is no dress code for employees per se, because I asked that question. And so they're just looking to see if anybody's got any input.
Okay.
Mostly.
Thanks for that update. And is Supervisor or Administrator Ahalt still on? Do you have anything further to add to that?
I am currently on still. No, essentially what happened was this is a meeting that the chairs had a couple of weeks ago, and it was discussed at the chairs meeting of whether or not there should be some sort of attire or dress code. Perhaps that could be considered by the board for the board members at the county board meeting. And at that point in time, what was decided was that this was going to go to each committee and have the committees individually discuss this and weigh in as they felt appropriate.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. So I guess we can just discuss, and if we have any thoughts, feelings, comments, feedback that we can bring forward.
I guess I have a comment. I mean.
Okay.
Going back to appearance there, I mean, it doesn't demand that anybody does anything, it's just, they're encouraged. I mean, it's, so I mean, I think it's good to encourage professional dress and appearance and first hygiene. So I mean, it's not like it's a demand on employees, it's just an encouragement. So, I have no problem with that. So.
Yeah, I like the concept of encourage as opposed to mandating.
Just as a reminder, this would not apply at all to our staff. This is a discussion for our county board members as they attend the county board meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
So when it says employee attire, it's not really all employees of the county.
No, it's really amongst us.
I think
that was just put in as an example of somewhere else. I don't even know if that's from our county.
right. I think this is just a template that we're looking at
Yeah.
to see if we want to add comments, as if you have feelings on what should or maybe apply to county board members at meetings.
But I guess it does say, even if it's a template, it does say every employee. So I mean,
I'm against it.
Is there a specific, I mean, just if we're giving feedback, is there, I mean, the whole concept of it, or are there certain parts of it?
Pretty much the whole concept of it. I feel that I should be able to take and dress how I want. I'm not gonna, just come in all dirty clothes or nothing like that. But I would, I shouldn't be mandated to, dress a certain way.
You used mandate. I mean, so would you be okay with a recommendation? Or, I mean, just totally, I'm just, trying to pass on feedback and,
Well, I think some of our county board members are still employed. And
Right.
sometimes in order for them to attend a meeting, they have to come in what their work clothes are. Be it a sweatshirt, probably not a tie or something like that, but sometimes if you're going to get to a meeting, you don't have time to go and change clothes or anything like that. For instance, today I decided not to come because I have to be in sweatpants and a t-shirt, and I didn't think that would look very good on camera.
Yeah, I think that's an important note. I mean, we gotta remember, the county board is made up of people that are retired and people that are not retired. And if you jump out of off of your tractor and come in here and you're dirty and you're making it to a meeting, you're still representing the people you represent. And, yeah, I guess on that premise, I guess if you act inappropriately in any way, whether it be dress or your voice or what your actions are, I mean, people electing you will not elect you again. So I mean, I'd rather leave it more open too.
Right, cause I do farming, you know, and then I do dirt work and stuff, so I'm operating equipment and stuff like that, so it's. Today I didn't have much going on, but otherwise I'd have more work clothes on than being dressed up more.
And if it's being treated as a recommendation, I'm just trying to make some notes,
Right.
and I think, Administrator Aholt is listening as well, so he'll be aware of the comments, but,
I don't have an office job.
and I mean, you know, there's some recommendations, you know, I would, you know, as neat and clean as possible. I mean, it's a recommendation, not a mandate. I'm just trying to, I mean, we have individual, I mean, I don't know that we're putting forward a recommendation or thoughts as a full board, but we have some individual feelings here
Right.
that may or may not all agree.
Well,
My
I
comment,
don't think you should be able to come in a Viking sweatshirt myself, but a Green Bay one would be all right.
Right.
I think, my recommendation would be, I think words like encourage are fine. And some of the words that are in here are fine, not all of them. Obviously, we've had some comments. But I think the other comment I would make is, my opinion is it's more important that you're here than not here. And if you're, you know, and I understand, Chuck, how you feel, but you know, I'd rather see you here in sweatpants and a t-shirt than not here at all, so. That's just my 2 cents.
Okay, that's addressing kind of, some of the appearance of clothing. I mean, there's some other issues, you know, there's some reference to tattoos that, might be deemed offensive. And I think this is just something that came from somewhere else and just getting feedback and comments on that.
Yep.
So.
I think we're good.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't look at the last one, political activity. And there was a reference to, where did I read that? The Hatch Act, was that in here or somewhere else?
Oh, the last paragraph.
And I don't know if anyone took time to read the, the provisions of the Federal Hatch Act. That may have some, influence on that.
I have to believe that this is in there for a specific reason. There are many, many things that could be put in. So I would guess when it comes to dress and appearance, somebody made a complaint, and that's why that is put in here in the first place. And that most people know I am running for a state assembly position, so I don't know if that's why this is in here. But I will say that I do know many state representatives and senators also serve on town boards in the county, on their county boards. So I don't know if it has to do with that, but I'm not a legal scholar. We have our corporate counsel here that could speak to that, I guess, if we asked her opinion on that, but I thought it was interesting to see it in there.
I haven't read the Hatch Act, but from my general understanding of the principles, it would be, the concern would be more an appearance that the board itself is endorsing a particular candidate or a particular position greater than the realm of the board. Is my guess, but I can look into it more if there's a specific question or concern.
Well, I'm glad you chimed in on that because I seen this as part of the packet when I was reviewing it. So I took the time to look at it myself, and that's how I understood it as well. So, that's all I have on that.
Just for one more clarification, if I may add, the information that was put in the packet was simply what Juan and I were able to find across the state that in terms of reading the entire policy manual applied not only to their staff, but applied to their elected officials as well. So when we looked at all other counties, we were unable to find specific board rules that addressed clothing for board members. There's a lot of policies that describe what activity, meaning political activity, people might be able to wear for their clothing as a staff member, because we want to be sure that we are unbiased and we want to make sure that we are welcoming to the committees and the county and the folks that we serve. And so this was the only policy we could find across the state that generally related to both board members and staff in that particular county. And so there was no reason for anything that was included in there. We didn't add anything to this. There was no, this wasn't hand selected, if you will, from one particular county based upon a situation here in Burnett County at all, just so you folks are very aware of that.
Thank you, Nate.
And I'll put the uncomfortable thing out there. It's like, I'm not aware if anyone complained to anybody. I did ask questions of a person because I have a personal feeling about, you know, if something is somewhat political, does it potentially make us look less approachable to our constituents? I'm not sure if it should go as far as forbidding it. I do like the appearance as a county board of being approachable to everybody and all of our constituents, and would personally not be as in favor of things that would potentially prohibit that or make people feel like that we're unapproachable. And share your thoughts.
Well, yeah, I guess to me, it doesn't matter. You know, everybody has things they're involved in during their daytime, whether it be business or otherwise.
Right.
And there can be conflicts for anyone that sits on a board, regardless of what activities they take part in outside of the county. So I would hope that all of us have the demeanor to not set the standard being anything other than being approachable. So, I mean, I guess that applies to all of us, not just people that are involved in politics or not, so.
Right, I'm just wondering, at some point, do you draw the line at profanity? Do you draw the line at, I mean, are there any lines? Are there any lines we don't cross?
Again, I think our constituents vote for us based on that stuff.
I believe that they vote on it. I just, and not to, I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion on this. I would like to encourage us being as approachable as possible.
Yep, I like the word encourage. So.
And that might be it if there's not any further comments or discussions on that particular item. Thanks for your feedback there. Future agenda items, it's like those, I believe you'd get to Craig or discuss with Craig. Next meeting.
Gee, quick comment about that. Are you gonna take care of adding the Burnett County screening plan to September?
Yeah, the storage plant, yes, the storage facility, we got a screening plan from them, so we'll have that for review on September's meeting. And then there is a couple public hearing, I don't remember how many, but a couple public hearing items as well.
Next meeting date, September 3rd, on a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
I'll second that.
Everyone in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right. It's done.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then just everyone, if it hasn't made it around, sign the resolution for the comprehensive plan. Okay, I got it.